10th of July 2011 was the monumental day that Rupert Murdoch officially shut down the News of the World newspaper in the wake of the scandal caused by the hacking of murdered schoolgirl Millie Dowler. Within that final edition of the News of the World, on pages 4 and 5, there's a boastful article about Rupert Murdoch's now disgraced fake Sheikh Mazher Mahmood, claiming that he'd nailed 250 evil crooks. Well, as we now know from the Leveson inquiry and the work of Paddy French and press gang, Mahmood lied about the number of people he'd secured criminal convictions against. It was nowhere near 250 people. That article of boastful nonsense from the person who, I now have evidence, routinely used phone hacking, unlawful information gathering, I would assert drugged people's drinks, including mine, was all elements of the supply chain, and used excessive levels of intimidation and veiled threats behind the scenes, which went way beyond anything that could be considered in the public interest. He fabricated stories, boasted about stuff that is just complete and utter nonsense. Yes, newspapers printed things, but the simple fact is, much of what he printed, people never said or never did in the way that it was written up, distorted, and such like. 10th of July 2011 was the final ever edition of Murdoch's News of the World. And yes, as I say, it even contained lies and untruths from Mahmood in that final edition. I'm hoping that Tuesday, the 3rd of February 2026, when I go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission at 10:30 a.m. in Birmingham to deliver my tons of new fresh evidence that I've got due to winning my case Alex Smith versus Newsgroup newspapers, that the videos, the audios, the documents, the photographs, the receipts galore showing use of unlawful information gathering, phone hacking and other dishonest practices being used to manipulate the fabricated story that led to a malicious prosecution and what I would argue are now 2 unsafe convictions. Hopefully the 3rd of February 2026 at 10:30 a.m. when I go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission will be the start of the final chapter of actually getting justice and getting my unsafe convictions overturned. Thank you and goodbye. On Tuesday the 3rd of February 2026 at 10:30 a.m. I'll be at the Criminal Cases Review Commission offices on Stevenson Street in Birmingham to deliver tons of new fresh evidence, over 4,000 pages of witness statements, exhibits, receipts, documents, photographs, together with hours of video and audio footage and a whole bunch of other stuff largely obtained during disclosure in my case Alex Smith versus Newsgroup newspapers, which was settled at the end of 2024 and for which I got a private letter of apology issued to me in early 2025. All explained on unsafeconvictions.wordpress.com. I've today, which is the 2nd of January 2026, just sent out press releases physically through the post to all the people you'll see following and being named in this video. Hopefully many of them will publicise this, because it's not just me that's had a miscarriage of justice caused by malicious prosecutions generated by the perjurous lies of Rupert Murdoch's disgraced fake Sheikh Mazher Mahmood, but also other people as well, as is explained at unsafeconvictions.wordpress.com and also in more detail at the links above or below this video. Follows a list of people that have been sent the press release. So, as I was born at Cosfordari Air Base, Wrekin near Telford in Shropshire, and I lived in Telford during the mid-90s for a number of years at Sheepwell Court, it's going to Shropshire Live, Hello Telford, the Shropshire Star, that also featured me a lot in the mid-90s in my birth name, Alex Smith, and also my stage names, Alex Leroy, as a media prankster, hypnotist and magician, Wolverhampton Express and Star, and Birmingham Live, because as I was born at Cosford RAF base and lived in Telford for a number of years, I would say it's a local interest story. And also the Criminal Cases Review Commission, where I'll be going on the 3rd of February at 10:30 a.m, is local news as well as it being a national news event. See unsafeconvictions.wordpress.com. For many years I lived on Starkey Street in Haywood, and then I moved to Rochdale, Lancashire, where I still live now, and because of that and the fact that it was at Manchester Crown Court where I changed my plea from not guilty to guilty with mitigating circumstances on the 1st of March 1999, following a 1998 sting story that took meetings taking place at Manchester's Piccadilly Hotel. This is going to Neil Keeling, the reporter at Manchester Evening News. I used to live in Haywood, so it's local to Haywood Advertiser, who've covered my case before. As I've Rochdale Observer, because I live here. I'm also going to send it to local Manchester Mill, Manchester World, Roach Valley Radio, Rochdale Times, Manchester Evening News. BBC Newsnight featured me and other victims in 2016. Or 2018. Anyway, it was 2018, 2016. It was when Mazher Mahmood was actually finally jailed. That evening they featured us, so I'm sending it to them. Granada Reports and BBC North West Tonight, because of course I live in Rochdale, Greater Manchester. As the impact of my story will also potentially affect other victims of Rupert Murdoch's fake Sheikh Mazher Mahmood, because there were many other people who he used illegal phone hacking on, unlawful information gathering, drugging their drinks, manipulating them through his team and associates with veiled threats behind the scenes, and being all levels of the supply system, as it were. This is also going to ITN News, ITV Evening News, BBC West Midlands News, because the CCRC is in Birmingham, BBC News, Sky News, Channel 5 News and Channel 4 News, all of whom covered the fake Sheikh Mazher Mahmood being jailed. For the record, it's also been sent to the Stage newspaper and the non-Murdoch papers such as Metro, Daily Star, Daily Mirror, Daily Mail, The Guardian, iNews, The Telegraph, The Daily Express, The Independent, Reuters, Getty Images, because they may want to come to the CCRC on the 3rd of February at 10:30 a.m, get some photographs to distribute to the media, and Bellingcat, the Law Society Gazette, PA News Agency, Signal the News, Press Gazette, Huffington Post UK, South West News Services, and Lad Bible, among others. It's also been sent to Byline Times, Prospect Magazine, Byline Investigates, Open Democracy, Declassified Media, Rebel News, Tortoise News, and Inside Justice, several of whom have covered the fake Sheik in the past, and many have covered the phone hacking, while the bigger picture is Miscarriages of Justice. And of course, details have been sent to the Press Justice Project, Media Reform Coalition, and Hacked Off, who I hope, given that I was a victim of phone hacking, media abuse, defamatory lies, being drugged without my knowledge, and being manipulated into doing things I didn't want to do, and a whole bunch of other things you can find out about at unsafeconvictions.wordpress.com, that these people will cover it and get someone to be at the Criminal Cases Review Commission on the 3rd of February 2026 at 10:30 a.m, when I deliver my new fresh evidence. 10th of July 2011 was the final ever edition of Murdoch's News of the World. And yes, as I say, it even contained lies and untruths from Mahmood in that final edition. I'm hoping that Tuesday, the 3rd of February 2026, when I go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission at 10:30 a.m. in Birmingham to deliver my tons of new fresh evidence that I've got due to winning my case Alex Smith versus Newsgroup newspapers, that the videos, the audios, the documents, the photographs, the receipts galore showing use of unlawful information gathering, phone hacking, and other dishonest practices being used to manipulate the fabricated story that led to a malicious prosecution on what I would argue are now 2 unsafe convictions, hopefully the 3rd of February 2026 at 10:30 a.m. when I go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission will be the start of the final chapter of actually getting justice and getting my unsafe convictions overturned. Thank you and goodbye.